This is Shutters Inc. with Bruce Williams and Glenn Lavender.
Hi, and welcome to episode 488 of Shutters Inc. This is Bruce Williams from shuttersincpodcast.com, and joining me once again from creativephotoworkshops.com.au, it is Mr. Glenn Lavender. Both of us are half asleep, so it might be only half a show.
So between the two of us, does that mean we're fully asleep?
That's right. The podcast that goes to sleep on you.
That's right. It's the opposite when the listeners bore the host to sleep,
That's
rather than the other way around.
How's your week
We're
been?
bored and tired of you before you even got to listen to it.
There you go.
Just the thought of you bores us to tears and sleep.
How's your week been?
Well, I did something I haven't done in forever.
Right.
I went outside of 5 kilometres from my house.
You're now allowed 25 Ks, is it?
Now allowed to go 25 kilometres. Still not allowed to go in other people's houses. There's still massive restrictions. But so I did. I went to go to this fruit and vegetable market and meat market in Footscray. And so I drove down there yesterday. And it was the bizarrest feeling. I felt guilty. I felt out of sorts. I didn't. Nothing felt right. It was not enjoyable.
Really?
To be out. It was just horrible.
Yeah, right.
So it was I kind of got in, got out, and came straight home again. Then I was happy again.
You've turned into a hobbit.
I was never far from one in the first place, and this has just exacerbated it, you know. But, so that's a little bit of a change, and there's a theory that stores may even open middle of next week.
Wow.
But having said that, that was yesterday's news, and today 2 schools closed down already.
Yep.
Yeah, so who knows how it's going to fall down in a heap all of a sudden again. And we had games night at home tonight. I cooked dinner, and then we sat and played a board game with the whole family.
Nice.
And my youngest one sitting away, and she goes, she was playing this game with this one kid from school called Harbour, and it's they do a voice chat whilst they're playing.
Right.
She said, it's really hard to understand him. He's got a really scratchy and a sore throat. And I've gone, what? And she goes, yeah, he's at school, and he's got this really scratchy, he's got this really sore throat. She says, just come on. I'm going, oh, no, don't. What parent sends their child to school?
Yeah.
Showing flu-like symptoms.
Yeah.
And the whole reason these 2 schools have closed down is because their parents sent their kid. This a family of 6.
Right.
5 of them had COVID.
Oh.
The 6th one didn't get tested.
What?
They sent them all back to school, including that one. He gets to school, he's sick with it.
Jeez.
I know. It's like, how does that happen? And now 2 schools are closed down. 500 people have to isolate because this one family sent their bloody kid. After all of everyone else, how does 5 people in a 6-person household get sick and they don't test all 6 of them?
Yeah. But I thought that, if you were known to have come into contact with someone who was positive, then you are required to self-quarantine.
Yeah. And that's what the Department of Human Services said to him. He shouldn't have gone back to school. He should be in quarantine. They're going, what?
Jesus.
So because of that now, and of course, who knows how many people it could all start. We could all this few days of freedom, and just as it looks like it might start to open up, it could all come crashing down in a heap again. You know
exactly.
So the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Jeez.
So we watched that with interest, I guess you'd say. But not it makes you lose a bit of hope, you know.
Yeah,
that you could
it's just frustrating that people are that selfish.
Oh, I know. It's like just and my wife went up to the shops today to get something for the post office, and she says all these people walking around without masks. Yeah, and all these people going like, they're not going to make me wear a bloody mask. It's like, people are idiots, yeah. Yet they're the first ones to complain, well, we're locked down. Yeah. Oh, we can't go shopping. Yeah, because of people like you. You know, it's you are the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the government. It's not blame Dan Andrews for locking it for the night. No, you're the problem.
Yeah.
The people that...
The people that won't play by the rules.
Yeah, they blame the government. This whole outbreak started because of a hotel quarantine scandal, where they employed private security guards to maintain the people in the hotel. But, you know, they're going out, they're having sex with each other. But that's not the government's fault.
No.
You employ someone to come fix your plumbing in your sink, and he goes and rifles through your underwear drawer. Well, that's not the person who employed the person to do the sink's problem. That's the plumber's issue. Yeah? He's the one who's doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, this little glimmer, and the weather's just starting to get really nice. You know, the beautiful spring weather. It's 20 degrees every day, and nary a breath of wind. So, anyway, it doesn't worry me too much. If we lock down, it is what it is.
You're used to it now.
It is. It's that way. It's been going out. It's felt strange. Taking the kids have been back at school since last week, so now taking the kids back to school every day and picking them up every day is a whole throws your game out, because it's no longer. The cats have gone nuts. The cats are like, they're walking around. Where are they? What's going on? And they're literally cats who sleep 23 hours a day and now awake all day long waiting for the kids to come home.
Yeah, right.
The cats are never awake. Yet they don't settle. They wander around the house. They're yowling.
Wow.
And then the kids come. And as soon as the kids come home, they run, jump, lay down on the lap, and go straight to sleep.
Wow.
Well, it's such a little codependent family, I think. That's our problem. So how's your week been, my friend? All good?
Yeah, not too bad. James and I went on our ride.
You did? You went on your bike ride?
Weekend, yeah, that was awesome.
And how was it on your new thingy for
new bike?
Multiple days?
Yep. Racked up 1,100, 1,200 Ks for the weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, look, the bike's great. Just loving it. So we left Sydney at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, rode straight down the Hume to Goulburn, then hung a right, went up to Crookwell, then headed west out through Boorowa. Around about Boorowa, we were there probably 12:30, 1 o'clock. Just as we left Boorowa, we started to get just the first little spits of rain, and it was just kind of on and off all afternoon. Not even heavy enough to warrant wet weather gear. And we got up to Parks at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and James said, "You right to do another 20 clicks out to the dish and back?" And I went, "Yeah, that's fine." So we rode out to the dish and took some photos out there. And there was a bunch of photographers, all in about 3 cars, all parked near the exit to the car park at the dish. And the dish was, the visitors centre at the dish. Sorry, I should explain for those outside of Australia. The dish is the colloquial term for the CSIRO radio telescope at Parkes. And it is quite famous for having been involved in the moon landing in 1968. Anyway, so there's a bunch of photographers sitting outside in their cars by the car park, and I said to them, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "Oh, we're just hanging around waiting for the storm to come through." I went, "Oh, okay, fair enough." And James and I decided that we'd done what we came to do, so we headed off back into town, got into town and checked into our motel, went into the pub to have a drink and to grab some dinner, and the skies just opened up. And all of the locals were absolutely ecstatic to see the rain.
Oh, bet.
And so we weren't sure what we were going to cop on Sunday morning. Woke up Sunday morning and the clouds lifted, 1,000 feet and it's broken up, and there's little patches of blue sky. So yeah, we fueled up and hit the road again, and again we just had little bits of rain here and there. Just as we were heading into Bathurst, we got a fairly reasonable downpour, but it only lasted about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was the day of the Bathurst motor race, so we were very sensible going into and through Bathurst because we knew that cops would be around a lot.
Yeah.
And then we headed back through the Blue Mountains and down into Sydney, and at there's a big interchange on the freeway as you're coming down into Sydney from the west called the Light Horse Interchange. And I'd said to James, I'm not going to stop, I'll just wave goodbye to you, because he was going straight ahead and I was turning left. So I've turned left onto what's called the M7, and I got a few k's down the road and I'm looking up towards the Central Coast where I'm headed, and the sky is just filthy black. And I thought, oh no, this is not going to be fun. So I pulled over, put the wet weather gear on, and I got onto the freeway heading north, and it just got ridiculous. I would rate it as one of the 2 worst storms I've ever ridden a motorcycle in. It got to a point where...
You were in 2 storms?
No, I'm saying this is one of the 2 worst ones.
Ah, it wasn't both at the same time.
No.
That would be bad. Because
Yeah.
if you had 2 of the worst storms you've ever been in at the same time...
That would be pretty severe, yeah. But it got to the point where, on a 6-lane freeway, everyone's travelling at 30 kilometres an hour with their hazard lights on. And you just couldn't see a darn thing. And
How's the windscreen wipers work on your helmet?
Yeah, if only they were there. And you need them on the inside of the helmet as well as the outside of the helmet. So anyway, ended up being a bit of a sour note to the end of the weekend, but the rest of the trip was absolutely fantastic. So, it was great.
Did you take the 28 to 300?
The 28 to 200, I did take that with us.
Is it 28 to 300?
No, 200.
Really? That's pretty pathetic, isn't it? Pick up your game, Tamara.
So, I don't know if you said something to them, but I got a call from him this week, and he goes, I need to get that lens back.
Didn't say a word.
He says to me, I think I called you yesterday. I'm going, no, it was 4 weeks ago that we spoke.
Oh, God.
I said you were going to send the rep to pick it up. And he said, look, if you can package it all up, he said, we'll email you the shipping label.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is stick that on the box, and we'll have a courier come by your office and pick it up. So the lens has gone back now.
Dan, they remembered.
Yeah. But very happy to use that lens again, and yeah.
Did you get any good photo opportunities, Ross, and events?
Nothing super extraordinary. I just shot a few bits and pieces, which I put on my Facebook page. But, nothing mind-blowing.
It didn't sort of pique your interest that all these photographers thought it worthy enough to be sitting there parking and waiting for a storm to come through?
Yeah, they were
I'm waiting to see all these epic photos of the dish with this incredible thunderstorm over the top of the lightning bolts. They
were in cars, we were on bikes. I was not going to be sitting around waiting for the rain to come.
See, people, that's why he's an amateur. That's why he's just a part-time, try-hard bloody photographer.
There you go.
Even those oldies in the car are more dedicated than you.
No, they were younger than us.
Storm chasers. Yeah.
So anyway.
But I wonder if they did get some great shots over the dish with an amazing storm. That'd be pretty cool to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I did ask, were they expecting thunder, lightning, and they said no.
It's hard to get photos of thunder.
Yeah, no, I asked if they were expecting lightning, and they said no. So I kind of wonder why bother sit out here waiting for it then? I mean, if there was lightning involved, then that would be pretty epic.
Or the shape of the clouds, the type of storm.
Maybe. Yep.
Yeah. If they know that much in advance.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. Do you feel refreshed and relaxed afterwards?
The incredible storm that I rode through in the last hour kind of took the shine off it. But no,
it was shinier, all being all wet and stuff.
Yeah. But it was a good weekend. So,
That's good to hear. Now we've got the nice stuff out of the way. They've been pleasant to you.
Yeah.
How the hell did you stuff up the podcast the second time? What did you do?
Don't get me started.
What did you do?
So what it is, okay, so I did as you asked and put the 2 versions of the podcast together.
Did you?
So, with an explanation. But as I have explained in the past, in the digital audio workstation that I record and edit in, which is called Reaper, there is a transport playback speed control, and you can make it play faster or slower than real time. And when I'm editing, I set the playback speed to 1.5x.
Yeah.
And so we all sound like chipmunks, like that. And what happens is if you forget to set that back to 1x, when you render, then it renders it all out at 1.5x. So this podcast that should have gone for 2 hours went for an hour and 13 minutes, thereabouts. And I didn't twig at the time that I uploaded it. And then as soon as it went public and I saw, was it David Marland or one of the Davids, put a comment up going, "Thanks, Alvin." And I just, as soon as I saw that comment, I knew exactly
that sounds
what.
like David Marland.
Yeah.
I've not been on Facebook since we last talked. So I've not. This is my longest time away from social media since social media was invented. So
nice.
I don't know these things, but I see some notifications and stuff. So like I knew something had gone wrong with the podcast.
Yep.
But I didn't know what.
So as soon as I saw that, I took the episode offline so that more people weren't downloading the corrupted audio, and then I re-rendered the audio file, uploaded it again, and then republished it.
Did anybody actually complain? No one actually said, well, this is actually an improvement because it's over faster?
There were some comments about, I thought there were two jockeys taking your place.
See, my podcast player, I mean, I was listening to this podcast series a year or so ago, and it was all going on really quite nice. And then for like 4 or 5 episodes in a row, they were all talking much, much faster. It wasn't as enjoyable.
Right.
You know? And then I realised, like the 6th episode in after that I'd sometime knocked it to 1.5 times.
Right.
So I'd listened to the last 5 or 6 episodes 1.5 times speed.
Yep.
And when I took that off, it went all back to normal. Maybe there's players that have like a 0.75 speed.
Yeah.
You tell them to play it on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Then you don't have to do any more work at all.
That's
just slow it down, Babel.
That's right.
That's hilarious. It's actually just not meant to be. Sometimes
That's it. That's exactly right. So
we needn't have bothered.
That's it.
Yeah. God. Oh, that's kind of amusing.
Yeah.
I've got not much to talk about this week. So
Okay.
We've waffled on long enough to make it feel like it's actually some form of an episode.
Yeah.
Then we can whip through the crap that we've got, and then we're done.
Right.
Sound good to you? And then we can all go to bed early.
Sounds good. I'd like to break into the podcast briefly to mention that we now have a Patreon account. If you get any value at all from our photographic giggle fest each week, we'd really appreciate it if you could spare a couple of bucks a month just to help keep the servers running. The link will be in the show notes. Much appreciated. Now, back to the podcast.
I put in some coriander today.
You put it in where? In the garden?
In my veggie garden. I planted some coriander.
Nice.
And tonight, I made homemade hamburgers tonight from scratch.
Oh, aren't they the best?
But for the first, my kids have grown their own lettuces. So their veggie
lovely.
garden reaped its first harvest tonight.
Nice.
So they were pretty pleased with that. Yeah, pretty pleased with themselves. So anyway, that's been the highlight of my work. I haven't actually done anything photographic. I've been thinking about doing something about photographically, because I've got this on November 11 Australia time, November 10 US time. I've got this 1.5 hour Tamron talk.
Oh yeah.
That I've got to build from scratch, but I haven't started yet. But it did cross my mind to think about starting.
Right.
So that's like working, isn't it?
That's like it. Yeah.
Pretty much like it. Yeah. So anyway, I was looking at a non-standard news source for photographics, CNN yesterday.
Right.
And they had an article which I thought was kind of interesting. It was called Beijing Silver Mine.
Okay.
And it's this guy who's been buying negatives from this silver mine in Beijing. So where they're basically a silver reclaiming mine. So people send all these boxes of photos or negatives and all sorts of other products, and they melt stuff down and get the silver out of them.
Oh, wow.
Okay? But this guy's been paying them above the silver rate to buy negatives.
Right.
And so he's bought 850,000 negatives. But it's China and Beijing for the last 30, 40, 50 years of just normal, everyday people's photos.
Wow.
So it's all these family photos and holidays and picnics and new family members and parties and weddings but an incredible archive of China developing from the 70s through to now, kind of thing.
Wow.
Nigh on 1 million negatives, which is really quite remarkable. And from what I've seen, I've seen no art in them, but their very artlessness makes them arty.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, take it as a. So he's put together his first book, people smoking at weddings.
Right.
So he's got enough photos or enough negatives of people smoking at weddings to put together a book. You can imagine, though, all these different clothing, all the different wedding styles, all the stuff that goes on. Yeah, I think it's an incredible archive, and to me, it's more exciting to me than any of these street photographer negative finds that people have done. Right. Because the street photographers, they're going out there trying to create an altered reality to some degree. They're photographing reality, but it's a selected reality, you know what I mean? Right. They'll crap about the photo never lies, but it always lies because a photographer chooses to show the world a particular way. Right. So there's always a contrived element to street photography. Right. Whereas your Joe Blow family snapper doesn't do that. No. That's why heads are missing and Uncle Larry's out of focus and all that kind of. So there's a more real capture of life to me than a more studied photograph, if that makes sense. Yep. So I thought I wanted to flick through what I could find so far of this guy's photos, and mostly fairly mundane photos. Yep. But that in itself, and it's taken on a macro level. If you look at that on the bigger scale, my God, what an encapsulation of history in that one thing. So, and somewhat themed, you would say, Chinese family life. Yep. Kind of thing. Yep. Where street photography could be more broad ranging. Yes. Yep. So, and you'd never find, you go to any Western area and find someone's family photo collection of their family with 800,000. well, now in digital, of course, everyone does that per year. Yeah. But back in the days of film, to find an archive, to have an archive of that volume is to me, I thought, really, really quite amazing. So for people interested, it's called the Beijing Silver Mine, and go check it out. Cool. I did see an article that really should have happened this year, but it happened last year. It's where an NFL football photographer is suing the Texas Longhorns mascot for bowling him over. Just running around as a mascot and giving him realistically, it could only ever happen in 2020, but it happened in 2019 I think at the Super Bowl or something like that. So he's suing the mascot and the handlers for injuring him as a photographer, which I thought was quite hilarious. Caused permanent injury. Well, apparently, Yikes. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah, what's permanent these days, though? Yeah. I've got permanent ink pens and the stuff still fades away. So what does it mean by permanent? Let's see, Photoshop have come out with a new AI filter developed with NVIDIA. Okay. Yeah, the video people. And it's a smart portrait AI filter where apparently with just the sliders you can change age, hair thickness, all sorts of stuff. But there was something in there that I found interesting, and now I can't remember what it was because it was a couple of hours ago, and we've played games since then. Oh, there's a yeah. What I thought was to show just how far this. I've been saying all along, this computational and AI photography is going to change just so much. Yeah. Well, as you've been able to do in Photoshop for a while, you can kind of change the lighting effects a little bit. Kind of crappy. I've never managed to get it look any good.
Right.
But in this one, you can change the direction of the light, and the catch light in the eye changes with it.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of freaky, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, of course, one of the biggest telltale giveaways is, you've got your light coming from here, but, you've got the big shot of an umbrella coming in the opposite direction, and there's no obvious light there or whatever it may be. So you can change head direction, change the type of gaze, hair thickness, just by using sliders, which is... I'll tell you, if we thought it was hard to tell what was real and what was fake, before, this is that's again,
it's not going to get any easier.
It's definitely not. It's astounding capabilities again that this is able to be done in your average home computer. It's quite remarkable.
Interestingly, and related to this, when I was looking for some stories to cover, I saw one. I didn't actually grab the link, but it was all about there's a feature coming to Photoshop to help you identify when an image has been manipulated.
Yeah, which is what you kind of need.
Yeah.
Especially for things like news agencies and anyone who needs to actually have some sort of reality to the image that they're purporting to be
publishing
of. Yeah. The first comment on Petapixels, I constantly tell myself not to turn into a grumpy old man and hate everything new, but my resolve is being challenged. And the reply to his comment was, well, now you can turn yourself into a grumpy old man in Photoshop. Well, it's just kind of funny. And then, of course, I cannot be the only one who thinks this is not art, photography, or anything else other than, gee, look what we can do.
Yep.
But, it's just another brush. It's just another tool to use for, if you're creating art photography as opposed to photography, if you're doing montages and who knows what else to create artistic works of photography, this can be a godsend. This could do some incredible stuff and create whole new realms of art. So once again, I have surprisingly no problem with it at all. But we all have problems with it being passed off as being real. But when it comes to what's used as art, but then again, you start to think, well, who did the artwork? You or the computer?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
or Adobe. It's it's interesting. So.
But yes and no. I mean, because if you're going to take that argument, you would say, well, who was the clever one? Was it Rembrandt or the brush? And I think it comes down to the end user. The person who's wielding the tool is the one with the skill to a certain extent.
But Rembrandt had to determine the pressure and the slide and the tones.
Yep.
This thing, you're just turning a slider backwards and forward, and a computer is doing all the processing of all the good stuff.
Yep.
And spitting out a manipulated result that you get to choose somebody else, a machine's version of what it thinks is right.
Yeah.
Versus your own take on, you're making the final choice, I like it like that, which is no difference than using your contrast slider or your brightness slider or whatever.
Yeah.
Because at some point you go, oh, that's where I want the brightness to be. Well, did you do it? Did the Photoshop make it that bright? It's all interesting, It's. I think the only problems come down is when people try and pass stuff off as reality.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why often when I do anything stupid to my photos, and someone goes, "Oh, look at that sky," I'll go, "Yeah, it's fake." The first thing, straight away, bang. I'm not going to sit there and pretend. Oh, yes, we have to wait for 4 hours for the sky to turn that purple colour, or whatever it may be. It's So anyway, but I thought that was pretty cool. And I was particularly impressed with the catch light changing around. Yeah. And the drone photography awards. Aerial photography awards came out too, which I love the drone perspective. So so I was interested to go see it. And the winner, once again, and here's the thing straight away, you don't know whether to believe it's real or not, because with Photoshop you can manipulate stuff, but it's a fishing boat from above, and they've got their net out, and their net's shaped like a woman's bust, head, shoulders, neck, chin, And it's like, well, is it real? Has it been manipulated to look like that? It's pretty darn cool. Yeah. But a couple down where people, there's umbrellas crossing a pedestrian crossing is very cool as well. So there's some interesting stuff in there again. So once again, I love that perspective, that aerial straight down perspective. So yeah, I thought I'd share those for anyone who's interested in such things.
Nice.
And that was it. That's all for me. That's all I got. I got nothing else. I got zip.
Right. Okay, well, we heard from Rob Coates over the last couple of weeks.
Did we?
With 3 different emails. The first one said, some good images here, Inks, on ABC News. And these were images of the Natural History Museum's Wildlife Photographer of the Year contest, won by Sergei Gorshkov with a photo of a Siberian tiger. That almost looks like a painting. But I believe that it's a photograph, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's the tonality of the colour.
Yeah. I suspect he's done a bit of HDR processing on that because...
He's done some HDR, he's done a lot
There's way too much detail in the background where it should all be just dark shadow. And I think that's probably what makes me feel like it's a painting rather than a photo. But
interesting. You want to see what other photos were there that made that as a winner sort of thing. Yeah. But I mean... I'm always in awe of wildlife photographers who can do it well because I mean it's a bloody hard game.
Oh yeah.
As a guy called Nakul Sharma, a Indian photographer friend of mine, just posted just this week, funnily enough, that. He's a great landscape photographer. He says, I've come to the conclusion that wildlife photography is the hardest photography in the world. I've just come back from my 3rd safari to photograph tigers. Still no tigers.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of work. The one I like the most, actually, is a few down. It's called The Pose.
Yes.
It's such a zen-looking picture of this monkey. It's just fabulous. Yeah.
But, it looks like it's been makes you think it's been manipulated in Photoshop because it's so weird looking.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yep.
So thanks for that, Rob.
Yep. The second one was G'day Yanks. The Royal Meteorological Society has announced the winner of its Weather Photographer of the Year 2020 competition. So a bunch of weather related images. So we'll put that link in the show notes as well. And then he sent one in that said, G'day Inks, no, I've never watched Saturday Night Live either, but have a passing familiarity with it from the famous comedians who got a start on it. So Glenn, you may like Trailer Park Boys, my favourite Canadian comedy series about 3 no-hopers living in... wait for it, a trailer park. Warning, an FAQ I read about it said that the F word is used on average 46 times per episode, so make sure the girls are in bed. Cheers, Rob Coates.
God, I don't know. I'm a bit of a snob and curmudgeon. I'm not sure if trailer park and me go well together.
Right. Fair enough.
When I finish Corner Gas, I'll give it a look-see. Right. I'm partial to that Canadian accent.
Yep.
Bit partial to that Justin Trudeau, mind you. I'd say it'd be enough to... If I was a woman and a lesbian, it'd be enough to turn me straight. So anyway, that's enough of that. I've been locked in the house for too long.
Now, Lee Gatland brought to my attention... We have not
heard from Lee in what? Since last time?
Yeah, probably. At least that long. He brought to my attention the fact that a Sydney photographer by the name of Glenn McKimmon has managed to get permission, and I'm sure it's cost him an arm and a leg, to run photographer masterclasses from one of the pylons of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Now, as a tourist, if you've ever come to Sydney and wanted to climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge, one of the great frustrations is they will not let you take your camera with you because they don't want anything being dropped off the bridge.
Yeah.
So for him to have been able to secure access and permission to not only take his own camera up there, but to actually take a bunch of photographers up there and conduct what would essentially be a landscape masterclass from up on top of the bridge, looking over the Sydney city CBD and skyline. is quite an achievement. Like I said, I'm sure the insurance would cost a mozza.
Oh, yeah.
And for those that are interested, just a single ticket for you to go along as part of this masterclass is going to cost you a mozza. It's $995 a head. And he's probably forking out...
Gee, Tasmanians better not apply then. Boom, boom.
Yeah. So he's probably losing half of that to the insurance companies.
Yeah. I still have objections to the concept of masterclass. I really just...
Yeah, absolutely.
Funny enough, I heard a thing this week, and I can't remember who, where, what, why, or when.
Yeah.
But at the time, and I only could have caught it. I heard it 3 seconds or so after it was said, if you know what I mean. So
it took your brain
I don't
a while.
really get the context of what was being said or the exact phrasing. But the concept basically was, I'm not a master whatever, I'm just a master student.
Right.
And I thought that's really good. So, yeah, this guy is really, really good at his profession, but he's not a master. He's just a masterful student. He's a student who's gone a long way in his study of it, but he's not a master.
Yep.
And I thought that's a great description for people like myself who go out there and pretend to teach photography.
Yep.
And that's, well, you know, what gives you the right? Well, I'm not a master photographer, but I'm a pretty good student of what I've learned X amount through my years of study that I'm passing on. Yeah. And I thought there was to me, it was a far more palatable way of, and the problem is when you elevate yourself to the level of teacher of, especially artistic things, people can venerate you somewhat, whereas it's majority of the time vastly not worthy of that, of any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, when you put yourself in that, no, I'm a student, just a more advanced student. To me, it was a far more palatable way of having that relationship with people.
Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting how that comes at that masterclass. Hearing that today after that going through my head this week.
Yeah, right. And the last story that I had is Canon's quad pixel AF patent. Maybe the sensor for the upcoming EOS R1. Oh. So apparently Canon has what they call dual pixel autofocus. And I don't understand how the technology works, but apparently one of the limitations of it is that if you have a high contrast area that, let's say, runs left to right across your frame and the sensor is orientated in landscape orientation, then the autofocus can struggle a little bit because the autofocus is looking for contrast at some other angle than that left-right direction. So, allegedly, according to this blog post, it can fail a little bit when the orientation of the high contrast edge is the same as the way this sensor technology is built. And so what they've now decided is that they should go for quad pixel autofocus, which will basically work on two axes, and so this will hopefully counter the problem. Now, I don't know, you're a Canon shooter. Does any of that make any sense to you or ring any bells for you?
Oh, I wasn't listening.
Of course. So
I'm going to say no. Yes, it makes perfect sense. It's probably going to be twice as good.
Right.
Or have twice as many problems. But one thing, it will be twice, because two to quad.
Yes. There you go.
Two.
Excellent.
So, yeah, I'm glad did you get that new Bruce Springsteen album?
Oh, yes, I did.
And you happy with it?
Oh, mate, it is brilliant.
Really?
It is absolutely brilliant. And to think they cut it in 4 days, it's phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so it's good to hear. There's nothing worse than it comes out and it's like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, no, it is really solid. It is a really good album. So I'm looking forward to the documentary, which I'm much annoyed about the fact that they're putting it on Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus, but I'm sure that someone will rip it and put it on YouTube, so it'll probably be on YouTube in a couple of days. Anyway.
Yeah, nice stuff. All right, well, I guess we've had our little chat. Now, don't stuff up this one.
I will do my best not to.
Yeah, don't have to record it all again. I mean, it wasn't one of our best episodes, but yeah, it's in the can, and it saves us having to do it twice.
That's right.
Next week, I might have gone outside a second time.
Yep.
And I might take photos and I'll share them.
Fantastic.
Because I'll go outside, so this is what just in case you're not aware, this is what outside looks like.
Yeah.
If all our Melbourne listeners, they may not be aware. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. Someone should document the emergence. You almost like you come out crawling out of the house sort of in a little ball, and you slowly start to stretch, and like a butterfly coming out of its chrysalis. You sort of stretch and expand, and got the whole sequence. Like man going from ape to man, from finally standing on two legs and walking.
And somewhere in there, throwing your hands over your eyes and going, "It hurts! It hurts!"
the light, it's so bright.
It burns, precious. It burns us.
I don't understand the reference.
Of course,
it's something Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
That's right.
There you go. Lord of the Rings, I think.
All right, mate. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Shutters Inc.
Another audio2u.com quality podcast.
For questions, comments, and feedback, email theboys@shuttersincpodcast.com.